All right, Tacoma guys, you've been asking for an audio upgrade for your 2016 and up Toyota Tacoma. We have the perfect 6-speaker plug-and-play bundle from Kicker for your truck.
Hey, what's up guys? It's Cliff and Brian from Trail Grid Pro. Super pumped to be back with you today. We've got our good friend Bruno from Kicker with us here today, and we've got something for you that you guys have been asking for. We've been selling Sony bundles for the Toyota community for years with wild success, and we've been asked countless times, what about speakers? Well, we're super excited to bring you a plug-and-play speaker kit, and with us today is Bruno to talk through why you need this.
Thanks, Cliff. I'm super excited to be here. I'm glad that we partnered up so that way we can actually get out to the Toyota community and actually bring in upgraded speakers. The nice thing about the speaker sizes from Kicker is that all the speaker sizes actually match the vehicles themselves, and we have all the right sizes. So basically what you're seeing here is you have every single speaker inside of your vehicle with the actual harnesses for the factory plugs. So these guys have already taken all the legwork out of it to make it as easy as pie. One thing that you will notice is that all these will come with their actual brackets. So for you guys that are installing it, take it out, put the screws back in. These guys have made it as easy as pie. Can't make it any easier than what it actually is.
Like Bruno just said, Cliff and I, we did a lot of research to figure out exactly what we needed to do to make this plug and play, just like our Sony bundles. So when you receive your Kicker speaker bundle, you'll get the brackets, the speakers, any of the pigtails that adapt the speaker to either, like you can see here, the one for your tweeter, you get the one for your doors. These connectors will already be soldered and shrink tubed to the crossovers where they apply for the front door speakers as well as the tweeters. Everything is included in the kit when it shows up to your door to make this install as seamless and as easy as possible.
All right, so the two main components of this bundle that we were trying to accomplish was one, making it plug and play, and we've touched on that. The second most important component of this bundle is that it had to be great. So Bruno, what can Toyota owners expect when they transition from factory speakers, either non-JBL or JBL amplified, and transition to the KS line from Kicker?
That's actually a really good question, Cliff, and I'll dive a little bit into that. So one of the things that you're seeing here is you've got your factory speakers. So I'm going to ask these guys to go ahead and flip those things around just so that way you can actually see the build quality in the product. Now what's going to be upgrading, or what we're actually going to be upgrading, is everything here. So I'm going to start with the front doors. So our speakers, when we flip it around, actually have a much larger magnet than the actual factory speaker. What this allows us to do, allows the speaker to actually play a little bit lower and handle more power. Even if it's a JBL system or non-JBL system, we'll be able to handle the power either way. The other thing is with the rear speakers, I'm going to grab this here, which is our 6.5, the exact same thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a larger speaker, better mid-bass response. You've got the factory plugs, so even when you're looking at all these factory speakers here, you see the plugs here on each one of them. These guys have already done the legwork for you. Here it is. Everything's all plug and play, even down to the crossovers for the 2 3/4 and then also the 6x9s as well too.
All right, so we've just established that by partnering with Kicker, which we're super excited about, we've been able to bring you a completely plug and play system for your Toyota, and that plug and play system is a premium system when compared to a factory JBL or non-JBL system that you currently have in your Toyota. And now we're going to show you how easy this system is to install in your garage.
So as you can clearly see, this is going to be a great upgrade for your Toyota Tacoma. So let's get started with the install and I'll show you exactly how easy this is going to be. First up on the list is going to be the tweeters and the dash. So let's go ahead and head in the truck and we'll get started with those. Getting started on the passenger side of the truck, what we need to do first is remove 2 bolts here hidden behind the grab handle. So we need to open up these covers, remove the 2 bolts. We're going to actually remove the grab handle. And the reason that this is important is because at the bottom of the A-pillar trim, there's actually like 2 tabs that hold down the speaker grill, and you're not going to be able to get the speaker grill completely out without doing this. So let's grab our panel removal tool, or if you have a little small flathead screwdriver, that will work as well. Very gently reach up. Now that those are loosened out of the way, we're going to grab our trusty 10mm socket, set these in the cup holder so that way we know where they are. Give it a nice little pull and our A-pillar trim will come right off. Here are the 2 tabs that I was talking about that actually insert into the speaker grills. Like I said, without getting these out, you're not going to get your speaker grill out all the way. So we'll set this to the side. Back with our panel removal tool, we're going to go ahead and remove the grill. So to do that, just insert it along the edge and gently pry up. All right, so now that we have it loose, we do have the light sensor here that we need to remove the harness from that. Just see the plug right there. Simply reach in and unplug that, and we'll set our speaker grill out of the way. Next step in the process is to remove these 2 10mm bolts here. This one on the outside next to the A-pillar, you could probably get at with your 10mm socket. This one here towards the windshield, there's definitely not enough clearance, so recommend grabbing a 10mm just regular box wrench, or if you have a ratcheting one, something low profile to get that one. And for the second one, we're going to switch over to our wrench. Usually once you break it loose, the easiest thing to do is just spin it out with your fingers. That is going to free up our tweeter, and we're going to rotate this until we find the releasing pin on the connector. On these tweeter plugs, the releasing tab is actually on the bottom there. There's not a whole lot of extra wire, so just take your time and get that disconnected. Included in your kit, you will get a set of the tweeter crossovers already attached to the correct plug for your vehicle. So the crossovers and the harnesses for the tweeters will be in the top box where the tweeters are. So go ahead and grab one of those sets out and we'll get this connected. First thing we're going to do is line up the connector and push it until you hear a nice little snap. We can undo the twist tie to give ourselves a little bit extra. Also included in your kit when you get it will be a set of these tweeter adapters. You'll see that they're kind of a eyeball shaped, and there's actually 2 pieces to each one. So what we're going to do is we're going to mount the tweeter in the bottom one, the larger one, and then we're going to sandwich the tweeter in here, and then we can reinstall it. So let's go ahead and mount the tweeter. With our kicker tweeter out of the box and our adapter, what we're going to do is slide it over and then work this into place, being careful of the small connector board there on the back. So now that we have that in place, the top piece simply goes on over top, and you'll notice that there are 2 tabs here on the side that line up with corresponding holes in the bottom of the plate. Sometimes it may be necessary to just bend those tabs a little bit just to get them to lock into place. This one seems to be just fine. And then also on your wiring harness that's already attached to the tweeter, you will find a male and female spade connector. You are going to simply match that up with the male and female from your wiring harness. So there's no way to get this backwards. So we're going to give these a little push. Now that we have our speaker wire adapter connected to our factory plug, we have our wire connected to our tweeter, and our tweeter is now mounted in its mounting bracket. We can just push all of this wiring down back in the dash. All right, we now have the tweeter and all the wiring back in. Make sure that you line up your adapter. It will really only want to fit on in one direction. And also make sure that we keep the plug for light sensor out so that we can plug that back in. So at this point, we can grab the 2 bolts and we'll go ahead and secure the tweeter. With our tweeter securely in place, let's grab our speaker grill. We're going to reconnect the light sensor and put the grill back into place. Slide the tabs along the front closest to the windshield into place, and then the speaker grill will push straight down. At this point we can grab our A-pillar trim. I also recommend reaching up, grabbing the door seal, and just pulling the door seal away. Place our A-pillar trim back in, lining up the tabs along the speaker grill. Careful around the airbag here. Gently work this back into place. And let's grab our bolts and secure the grab handle. Put our covers back into place. And we can finish up this passenger side by putting the door molding back on. With the grab handle securely in place and this passenger side buttoned up, let's go ahead and I'll show you the process on the driver's side. The process for the driver's side is pretty similar. The only difference, and I'm going to show you here in a second, is there's only one bolt that holds the A-pillar trim on, and there's no light sensor to worry about unplugging. So what we're looking for is this SRS airbag logo, and we're going to grab our panel tool, and again, just gently get up behind the logo, and opening that up will reveal the 110mm bolt. Same thing on the other side. You can just pull the A-pillar trim away and up towards you. Move this is actually our microphone wire from our Sony 9500 ES that we have installed. Hide this away. Back to our panel tool, we're going to remove the speaker grill. Again, same process. Work it around, lift it up and out. And at this point, it's the same. There's two bolts. We're going to remove the two 10mm bolts. We're going to attach the new tweeter and the harness assembly that we've provided you, and we'll put it all back together. Make our connection to the speaker wire here. Take our full tweeter assembly and tuck everything away. With our tweeter secured, let's go ahead and put the speaker grill on and button up the A-pillar. With our tweeters complete, now we're going to go ahead and move on to our front door. Real quickly, I'm going to summarize where all of the connecting points are for the door panel, and then we'll go over how to remove them individually. Starting at the top of the door, we're going to remove this little quarter window trim here. There's a pop clip right here below it. We're going to remove the cover from behind the door handle, which will reveal a screw. In the grab handle part of the door here, we're going to remove one more screw right there, and then we're going to remove the entire switch assembly, and the rest of it is just held on with the clips around the edge of the door. First thing we're going to do is remove this top panel. Simply just pull behind, it's going to pop right off. You can see that there are these two little white retaining clips in there. Those will usually stay in the door, but you can easily just pinch them with your fingers and pull those out, and we'll go ahead and put them back on the panel. Next up is this little pop clip retainer. To remove this, all we need to do is push the middle in, gently pry it out, and it'll pop right out. Next thing we're going to do is move over to the door handle. If you look behind the door handle, there's a little plastic cover. Just use our panel tool here, gently pull on that from the handle side. That little cover will pop out. We're going to grab a Phillips head screwdriver and remove the one Phillips head screw directly behind the door handle. Moving to the grab handle of the door, there's another Phillips head screw located below that. So if you have a little piece in there, remove that. And we'll take the screw out. Next up is the switch panel here. Easiest way to remove that is, again, with your pry tool. Just gently lift up, and this whole piece will pop up. And on the passenger side here, we have the lock, unlock, and the window switch that we need to disconnect. Flip over to the back, press the retaining tabs, and go ahead and move this out of the way. Okay, to remove the door panel, I typically start right here by the speaker housing. There's a good spot to get your fingers behind. There we go. Sounds a little violent, but it will be okay. So we're going to loosen up all of the pop clips around the edge and then pick the door straight up, and that will free it from the door. The only thing we have left are the two cables that connect to the door lock and the door handle. We have two cables here. All we're going to do is grab the connector, pull it up, rotate it, and the little metal ball will pop out. We're going to do the same thing for the other one. See those freed up? One thing I always like to do at this point is take a quick look at the perimeter of the door, make sure that all of your clips actually came out with the door panel. They're not still stuck in the door. If they are, simply use your panel removal tool, pop them out, and go ahead and put them back in the door so that we don't forget to do it later when we go to reinstall the door panel. Now that we have the door panel completely removed, a couple more things. We have the connector here. Simply depress the tab on the side. Give it a little wiggle, and that will come right up and out of the way. Set that up there for right now. Next up is the 4 screws holding in the factory speaker. We're going to use our Phillips head for this. Set those to the side. We will be reusing them in a moment. And then the rest of the speaker, simply just give it a little pull, and we will work it up and out of the way. Real quick, since we have this JBL speaker removed, let's go ahead and I just want to show you a quick comparison. There's the front. Here is the back. You can see how small the magnet, the driver is there. So let's go ahead and grab the kicker, and we'll show you the vast difference here. So you can see much better material for the cone, and then the real difference is, look at that huge magnet as compared. Let me grab the other one, do a quick little side by side. So huge difference. This is going to make a great improvement in your sound. So let's go ahead and we'll throw these in a box and put the new ones in. Next up in our install is the speaker adapter ring. So we're going to go ahead and fit this on the door. And what we're looking for is to get all 4 of the holes lined up here. There we are. So we're going to use these slots, the long oval slot here. Just going to go ahead and start these so we make sure we got everything nice and lined up. If you choose to use any sort of sound deadening material such as Dynamat or any of the other commercially available products like that, now would be the time. It's not necessary. Obviously, any sort of sound deadening or sealing up the cavity is going to make your sound even that much better. However, for ease of installation today, we're not going to show any of that, but now would be the time to go ahead and put that stuff in the door or around the speaker. Next up is the door harness adapter. The door harnesses with the crossovers for the 6x9s will be located under the 6x9s in the box when you receive it. And you'll also notice that the door speaker adapter here will only fit on the door, so that will be your other indication that that goes with your 6x9. So we'll go ahead and make the connection. You hear that snaps right into place. At this point, we're going to grab 4 of our screws that were in the provided bag. I like to go ahead and just start one of these in the corner. We're going to grab our new Kicker 6x9. On the other end of the harness, you'll see that there are an 1/8 and 1/4 inch spade adapter. We're going to locate the connectors on the back of the speaker. Obviously, the small one goes to the small one, the larger one goes to the larger one. Give those a little wiggle and they will go right on. One other thing to note here in the side of the speaker adapter ring, you'll see this little notch. That is going to be a great place to put our speaker wire through. And then when we put all of this into place, we can hang our speaker on the one screw that we started, so that way we don't have to try to juggle this as we get the rest of our screws started. Important note before we go any further with this install, now is the time that you want to be extremely careful with your screwdriver or your screw gun. Go slow so that your screw gun doesn't slip off, because it will go through the cone of the speaker, at which point your speaker will no longer be good. So take your time. I usually put my hand in such a way that it blocks the speaker, so that if it does slip, that I'm gonna stab myself in the hand and not my speaker. So we'll go ahead and tighten up the 4 screws. And one final check here, we just wanna make sure that our speaker wires are in that little groove so that they don't get pinched. All right, all 4 corners nice and snug. We have our speaker wire routed out of the way where it's not going to block any of the pop clips when we go to put the door panel back on. So this door is done. All we need to do is reinstall the door panel. Hook up our cables. We're gonna grab, this one was on the bottom, hook the ball into the slot, and then this gets pushed in till it snaps. Same thing, hook the ball in, snap it into place. Next thing we want to do is hang the door over the top of the window frame here. See, it locks into place there. Now that these are exposed, we can just let them drop, and we're going to go ahead and push the door panel back into place. Give it a good push all the way around the edge, make sure all the connectors back into place. Grab our door switch assembly, make our connections here. Get this lined up, pop it right down into place. Next, we're going to grab the screw for the door. Grab our screw that goes behind the door handle. This is going to be the smaller of the 2 screws that you took out. Grab our cover plate. Get that locked into place. We're going to replace our pop clip. Push the pin all the way out. Insert. And then just push it to where the center is even with the outside. Last thing we have to do is grab our A-pillar trim here. Remember, you need the little white clips on here. Line that up and snap it back into place. Now that our front door is back together, we can move on to the rear door. As you can see, this was not a difficult process by any means. So now that we have our front doors done, we're going to move on to the back doors. I'm going to show you exactly how to install your new 6.5-inch speaker in the rear door. Moving on to the rear door, taking off the door panel is going to be pretty similar to the front. The only main difference here is instead of the panel being on this side to remove, now we're going to remove this panel here on the outside. Again, we have the same pop clip that we did on the front door. Phillips head screw behind the cover, behind the door handle, one in the grab handle. And again, we're going to be taking off the window switch plate here, and then pop clips all the way around the outside. Starting out here with this black plastic trim. This is going to have the same little white clips like the A-pillar one did. So we can pull, there's 3 of them, loosen this piece up. This piece is attached to the rest of the door panel, so for the purposes of taking this off, all we need to do is just loosen it up. I'm going to go ahead and push in our clip here. Boop, there it goes. So now that we have this portion of the door loosened up, we're going to move to behind the door handle. Again, go just right in with your panel tool. A little bit of gentle pressure. That cover plate is going to pop out of the way. Set that down and trade it out for our screwdriver. Again, we have a little door protector in there. Remove our second Phillips head screw. Go back to our panel tool. Again, we just want to find a little spot here. Gently pry up. Work our way around the edge. And on this back door, we just have one connector for the window switch. We remove that and set that panel out of the way. All right, moving down to the corner of the door, now that we have all of the rest of the fasteners out of the way, I like to just reach in right behind the door speaker grill, start pulling out to free up the door panel. Now we have all of the fasteners loosened up around the edge of the door. So again, just like the front door, with this whole panel removed, we can pull this entire piece, including this black plastic trim, out of the way. Next step is removing the door latch and lock assembly. Just like the front door, we're gonna grab the wire here, pop that up out of the way, grab the second one, freeing up those two cables. Now we can see the door panel is completely removed. Let's take a second to pay attention to, on this door panel, a lot of the clips actually stayed in the door. So we're gonna set the door panel to the side. We'll go ahead and remove these, put them back in our door panel so that we can reinstall it later. Again, much like the front door, all we have to do is remove the speaker connector. This one has 3 screws. We're gonna take the old speaker out and put the new speaker ring adapter in. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll pull. Our speaker comes right out. Another quick comparison on the factory JBL speaker versus our new Kicker 6.5. As you can see, the actual speaker size on this rear door is not that big. Most of this is just plastic housing versus you have a full 6.5-inch speaker here with its own tweeter. And again, biggest thing to note here is the size of the magnet. This new Kicker is going to put out a whole lot more sound as compared to this one. So let's grab our speaker mounting ring. We're going to go ahead and line this up. You can see there's the one tab here, just has the large oval slot. We're going to put that towards the bottom. Go ahead and start one of the screws there. And then the top mounting hole, there's going to be a oval slot next to one that has 3 circular. We're going to use the top of the circles. And it's going to be the same thing on the one out here. Couple of things I found with the rear doors on the Tacoma, since the speaker ring adapter is slightly a different size, or it mounts differently than the way that the factory speaker mounted. Sometimes when you go to put the screw in, the screw hits the door skin. The screws that come with the Kicker speakers from the factory are a little bit longer. So the easiest way to get around that is if you have a little drill bit. This is a 7/64. We're just gonna very carefully just drill straight through, just drilling little tiny pilot holes in the inner door skin, and that way it's going to allow our screws that are actually going to mount the speaker to go all the way through without pushing our mounting ring away from the door. Now that we have those little pilot holes drilled, we can go ahead and grab one of our screws, go ahead and start it. That way we can hang our speaker when we get ready to install. With one started, we're going to grab our new Kicker 6.5. You will get a set of the door speaker adapters that go with the 6.5s. Those will be located in the box with your 6.5-inch speakers. 1/8 1/4-inch spade connectors. The little spade connector goes to the little post, and the large goes to the large one. And you'll notice on this adapter ring, there are 2 grooves here, one on each side to route your speaker wires through. Go ahead and hang the speaker on the one screw. Make sure that our wires are nice and out of the way. Tuck them in a little bit more if you need to. Go ahead and start the rest of the 3 screws and mount our speaker to the door. Again, take your time when you're actually tightening the screws. We don't want to puncture the speaker itself. All right, our speaker is firmly in place. You can see we still have slack on the wire a little bit, so we didn't pinch our wires. So that's it as far as putting the rear speaker in. So we can go ahead and throw on the door panel and we can wrap up this install. grabbing our door panel, let's go ahead and get the door handle and the lock cables back together, and then we'll get the door panel on. Starting with the top cable, just hook the metal ball in there, rotate it, and push the cable down. Same thing with the bottom cable. Those lock into place. Now we're going to hang the door on the top of the door itself. Before we hang the door panel on the actual door itself, make sure that you grab the switch here. We want to make sure that that is where we can reach it here in a moment. There it goes. One key indicator that you have the top of the door panel in the right spot is a little pop clip. You'll see that the hole lines up perfectly right there. So now that we have it pushed all the way down, we're going to go ahead and push in all of the retaining clips around the edge of the door. All right, so you can see that went right back on. Next thing we're going to do is replace the window switch. Make sure that you reconnect your window switch. Line up the tabs and pop it into place. We're going to move back to the door handle here. We're going to grab the larger of the two Phillips head screws and go ahead and secure that. Next up is the screw behind the door handle. Again, the smaller one of the two. And let's not forget our cover plate. With that back in place, the last thing we need to do is secure the black plastic trim along the outside of the door. To do that, simply just give it a little push, and then we're going to grab our last little pop clip here. Again, push the pin all the way out, insert it. Now that we've completed our installation of the new kicker speaker upgrade for the Tacoma, there's only one thing left to do, and that's get inside and see how these new speakers sound. All right, Casey, we got your new kicker speaker bundle all installed. You ready to take a listen?
I am.
Excellent. So as the Sony 9500 here starts up, just to recap, you have a 2019 Tacoma, you had factory JBL, so you already had the premium. Initial thoughts on how was your JBL system?
It's pretty good. Could always be better.
Could always be better, yeah, absolutely. So now we have the kicker 6-speaker upgrade, so you got new tweeters, you got 6x9s in the front doors, we got a new set of actual 6.5s in the back. Not really sure what was going on there with the back doors from the factory. Got your phones already connected here. We got Android Auto working, so let's find some music.
Sounds really good.
All right, so quick first listen. What are your thoughts? How does this compare to what you had just a few hours ago with your factory system?
It's much crisper. Sounds way better. Very happy with it.
Very happy, yeah. So with these speakers, as we said earlier in the clip of the video, you're getting a lot more dynamic sound. You're actually getting highs, you're getting lows. The factory system, you're just kind of, everything was compressed in the middle. So now you're going to have a full range of sound coming from all of your speakers. And, you know, the highs are coming from the tweeters where it should be. The lows are coming from the 6x9s and the 6.5s where it should be. So agree, disagree, completely improved audio experience compared to even the factory JBL.
I agree. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah. If you guys want to pick one of these up for your 2016 to 2023 Toyota Tacoma and enjoy it as much as Casey's about to, go ahead and head over to the shop at www.trailgridpro.com. Like always, have a blast out there.